What's up, man? I'm Nick Brown here. Check out a little preview of my art show. Come on in. So this is really cool art. It's called In the Wild, where basically I'm using AI and technology to blend that with creativity. So I come up with all the types of colors and I tie each piece to a social, cultural, intellectual theme. This one is about the grid system in the city of Chicago, how our blocks are separated east and west by, I think, State Street and north and south by Madison. Let me stop talking. This is about the CTA train, more specifically the Blue Line. It's something that I ride a lot. I get some of my ideas when I'm in form of motion, and I love the Clark and Lake stop. This isn't my car, but maybe one day. This is a really cool painting right here. I was using different materials. As you can see, we come a little bit closer here. These little dots are like the little plastic pellets that you see inside the Teletubbies. I took them out and just put them in my painting. Come on. So this area is pretty cool too. So we were able to get some of these vehicles out so I can construct some art. So when people came to the show, they could walk in through there and they could see this gorgeous space as you can see here. Look at that, right? This is cool. This piece is about, it's called Moonlight. It's about the forest at the dark time. The forest looks a lot differently when it's dark, and that's why the black represents. This one is about the city of gold. It's called Metropolis, and it's about back in the day, Johannesburg, South Africa, produced one of the percentage of gold in the world, and this is what it's all about. What some of y'all didn't know, I was an All-American athlete in track and field, and when I would run, I would get this thing called runner's high. This is what this piece is all about. I love running during the sunset. That's what the red and the yellow represents here. Pretty dope. This is about coral reefs. It's called Under the Sea. Without the coral reefs, a lot of the life underneath the water would be kind of dismantled. So I think the coral reef industry is like maybe a $350 billion industry. This is what this represents. Really cool space, right? See, over here is where it gets a little bit deeper and darker. The goal really is to, I hate it when you go to a museum and you just see like a piece of artwork, but you don't know the story behind it. So each one of my pieces, I have a little saying or a little story that people can learn from. And this one right here is about the deforestation industry, more specifically about the Amazon. As you can see here, I was trying different materials here. Got these beads. So a lot of times when you go to the Amazon and all the trees get taken down, that converts into plastic, petroleum, and all this type of jazz. That's what this is all about. This is my most controversial piece today. It's called Ceasefire. So what I did is I used AI to generate all of the wars and conflict that was ended from the day I was born to the day I finished this painting. I narrowed it down to 37 of them because I was 37 when I finished this. And this is what it's all about. As you can see, if you look closely, you have the Sierra Leone Civil War, and the words are upside down and horizontal because people view war differently around the world. It was originally a white flag, but I ripped the flag up, added some black and red and green and blue and color to represent the world that we live in. Come on again. Oh, this is a tough one. So this is about mental health. Some mental health professionals, they relapse at least, 50% of them relapse at least once or twice within a 2-year time frame. And this is what it's all about. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's all about like when we grow up and move in life, we might relapse into an old pattern. It leaves these marks, but collectively it's a beautiful structure, it's a beautiful portrait, it's a beautiful person because all the stuff that we go through, good and bad, it works out at the end. This piece is really, really interesting. It's called Jail. Jail can be a physical manifestation or a mental manifestation. A lot of stuff that's kind of going on with our family is very public, and this is what this piece represents. If you come really closely, I use a little bit that same technique with the ripping and the moving of pieces, and it creates a really cool texture. Now this is my favorite piece. This is the piece that's gonna set me free. The way that I mastered the technique of using my notes, which is just brown paper and the colors and the words. I use this as a template for stuff when I create in the future. So the brown paper represents the notes from this tech company that I created 10 years ago, and I just never threw away your notes. So over the time, I just kind of layered it up, and then bam. Now this is gonna be pretty sick because like these are my studies. I don't really show my studies that often, but, and also Porsche brought this really cool dope car showing their version of the R2 as well. So this is one of my studies here. A lot of times when you see a Basquiat painting or you see a Mark Bradford painting, they have their own style. My style are ABC's 1, 2, 3s, which was kind of developed from cuneiform. This is my version of communicating my ideas and focus to people, because the first thing we learned as a kid is our ABCs and our 1, 2, 3s. So you'll most likely see that in a lot of my paintings. Here's how I kind of start off my process a little bit. I start with some colors, just messing around here, and then I try to think about line work, and then I formulate my brand, my ABC 1, 2, 3s in here, and then I test out different types of textures from plaster and chalk and dye, and over time it keeps formulating into something that I think is really unique, and then I add the materials to get like my version of my composition, and then it comes out to something like this. This one is called Save Little Monster. It's mainly all acrylic, but a lot of times people have difficulty asking for help, and that's what this piece is all about. Big Monster Hiding is basically, we have so much stuff to offer to the world, but too often 40% of the people in group conversations step back versus stepping forward. Now it's time for people to say, hey, I too can be an artist, or I too can do this. So this is what this is all about. Now our last piece I'm going to show is I started here at Ice Cream Show, so I did a lot of live painting, which I don't do that often, but I kept coming back and kept reiterating it and kept working on the piece so that one day it will be revealed to hundreds of people. Here's the piece. It actually sold before we revealed it for the event, and come on down. Yeah, this is a really cool piece. I started this here about a month ago, and I kept adding to it. And as you can see, my ABCs, my 1, 2, 3s in here, the different types of brown paper and the texture really helps me show my style to everyone else. And we do have one more piece here. This is a fan favorite called Zebra City. It's about the cost of segregation is $4.4 billion, and when we come together as a community, we can represent a great city. So this is a theoretical position of this, like an aerial view of Lakeshore Drive. As you can see, you go up the lake here, the black and the black areas represent the various communities, and it's a very monochromatic painting, and thank you for coming.